Hello you absolute legends. In June of 2022, a speedrunner by the name of Epic Seastar did something incredible. He joined the Jump King speedrunning community and proceeded to achieve world records on two of the most popular and competitive custom maps, Babe of the Realms and Babe of Ascension. These world records were really good. In fact, one of them still remains the world record to this very day. Epic Seastar got really good really quickly, and while it is unusual for a new player to attain world records so fast, he claimed that he had been playing for a while, he just hadn't joined until then. Epic Seastar's rate of progress was suspicious, but the proof that he provided for his runs was extremely thorough. He had the in-game timer showing, he had an input display, and he even had a webcam of himself playing. Cheating with a webcam is one of the rarest forms of cheating because what it means is that you have to sit there and pretend to play. You have to pretend that you're trying hard. You have to pretend that you're nervous. And then at the end, you have to pretend that you're so happy because you just did something amazing. You need to behave like you've just done something better than anyone else had ever done before. And in June of 2022, that's exactly what Epic Seastar did. He created fake speedruns and then pretended to play, and for the next 2 years, his fake world records went undetected. That is until September 2024, when they were discovered completely by accident. As we will see, Epic Seastar went to a lot of effort to fake these records. He put in tons of work. But what's funny is that while he spent so much time and effort making his runs look good, he neglected to do the most basic checks any cheater should do in this game. And some of these simple mistakes he made just boggle the mind with their stupidity. After the first discrepancy was found, it was an avalanche. As it turns out, there are so many things wrong with these fakes, it is simply amazing. So sit back and relax as we dissect some of the greatest fake speedruns I've ever seen. I really hope you enjoy. Now legends, this video is sponsored by the military online game War Thunder, and when it comes to vehicle combat, War Thunder is the most comprehensive game ever made. Take control of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters and ships from 10 of the fiercest armies of the last century. See technology advance from the 1920s all the way through to these super high-tech weapons of destruction we see today. Each vehicle is finely crafted to be as realistic as possible, and when you combine that with incredible graphics and authentic sound effects, you get one of the most immersive combat experiences you'll ever find. The vehicle damage model in War Thunder is extremely intricate. You can even see this in action when you destroy an enemy. You'll be shown precisely where you hit and how all of the various vehicle components were affected. Personally, I find air combat to be the most thrilling part of the game, and the controls are so easy and intuitive, even with just a keyboard and mouse. There is a good reason War Thunder has over 70 million players. There is simply no game better suited for fans of military history. Play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation or Xbox now by using my link in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms. That includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. It's available for a limited time only, so be quick. One of the foundational mechanics of Jump King is the fact that each frame lasts exactly 17 milliseconds. This is unchanging and cannot be manipulated in any way. This means that in theory, the final time at the end of the run must also be divisible by 17 milliseconds. It just can't give you a time that isn't. And what's interesting is that this mechanic was never really used in the past to possibly detect a time that shouldn't be possible. So a couple of weeks ago, one of the moderators known as Rifle created a script that checked every single time submitted to the speedrun.com leaderboards to see if any impossible times were posted. Of the more than 5,000 speedruns submitted, around 60 had times that were invalid. Most of these impossible times were simply typos. For example, in this run, you can see that the time on the ranks ends in 928, but on the end screen of the run itself, it ends in 678. So this is just an input error. Other runs didn't have any videos at all to check, but again, they are likely typos. However, there was one run that came back that actually did show an end screen that had an impossible time. This was the world record for the custom map Babe of the Realms, achieved on June 4, 2022 by Epic Seastar. What's funny is that Rifle immediately thought this run was still probably legitimate because, as he said, it had facecam, mic, and keyboard inputs. It is very rare to see someone try and fake a speedrun like this. But boy oh boy, no one could have predicted just how deep this rabbit hole was about to go. Several hours after this invalid end screen time was brought up, it was identified the time on the end screen was also missing a digit. There is supposed to be a 0 here before the 7. It became apparent that this end screen was photoshopped, which also explains the invalid time. The next day, Rifle went through the entire run and counted the amount of jumps, because the jump count is displayed at the end, and what he found is that the jump count at the end was off by 40 jumps. It stated 403, but the run only had around 360. So what we can discern from these errors is that Epic Seastar just guessed the amount of jumps, and he also just guessed the final time, not knowing that it's impossible to produce in normal play. And then he quickly photoshopped the end screen and forgot to add a 0. This seems like a pretty low-effort fake, right? I mean, obviously he didn't seem to care or put much effort in. Well, this is where things get shocking. Because remember, the actual run itself had a timer, an input display, and webcam. No matter how this was faked, he had to have put a lot of effort in to make all of those things seem legit at first glance. The first weird thing that was noticed about one of the runs was the fact that the screen seemed to shake for too long during shakes. This screen shaking is a purely aesthetic effect. It doesn't change the gameplay, and the screen is coded to shake somewhere between 1.5 to 3 seconds. But the main category world record holder Trimp noticed that the screen shook for longer. In fact, in this section here, there were 2 shakes back to back that lasted 4 seconds. This is not possible under normal conditions. The only explanation for this is that there are splices in the gameplay. Splices are the most logical way to cheat this game if you're a terrible player. Take me for example. I've barely played Jump King, but if I use save states, I can use video editing to make it seem like I'm a decent player. The method I would use is to repeat a jump until you land in a decent spot, then save the state, then repeat. I remove the footage from when I land to when I start my jump, so it looks like I jumped immediately. In the case of the shaking screen, Epic Seastar would have landed during a shake when he wanted to save a state. Then, either intentionally or unintentionally, the next jump that he was happy with and used in the fake run also began when the level was shaking. So when he removed the footage in between, the shaking went on for longer than it should have. This essentially confirms that splices were used, and the fact these extra long shakes happened back to back indicate that multiple splices were done in a short amount of time. So it seems like we are dealing with a player who lacks the ability to string together longer jumping sequences. And in fact, I can tell that Epic Seastar is probably using save states for a massive percentage of these jumps, and I can tell that because he almost never buffers his jumps. When you watch top-level players, they always hold the jump button before they land. It could be several frames before or longer, but it's always before. This is so they start charging their next jump immediately when they land, and don't lose any unnecessary frames doing nothing. However, Epic Seastar doesn't do this. He almost always lands and then presses jump, usually framed perfectly after landing. This is because he doesn't want to start charging his jump right away because he wants to save his state first. Therefore, he won't hold jump before he lands. But when he edits out the footage, it will just look like he perfectly pressed jump after he landed, which is impossible for a player to consistently do. This isn't how good players play, and the fact that he almost never buffers his next jump, even when there is absolutely no reason not to, indicates there are tons of splices throughout this entire run. Splicing does create problems with the audio though. First, you can't play with music. That would just immediately give away any splice, so that's why Epic Seastar turned off his music. But it would also cause issues with the sound effects as well, because when you land, it makes a noise. So my spliced footage from before sounded weird. If I didn't fix the audio, it sounded like this. In order to fix this, I would have to make sure to extend the audio slightly after each splice from the first clip to include that sound effect. And given this run had so many splices, that's a lot of work. And then we have to figure out the issue of the timer. If we are splicing, we can't use a real timer. That would make it super obvious. So therefore, the timer in his runs must be fake. But it looks really good. I mean, his timer is literally perfect. It's indistinguishable from the real thing. The likely way he achieved this was by running the timer on a different map that has a black background, like this one here. Then chroma keying out the black background using whatever video production software he was using, and then overlaying that on top of his run. This one was pretty simple. We also know the timer was added in post-production because in those shaking sections I mentioned before, the timer is supposed to shake as well. But in his runs, the timer remained perfectly still. Another way that was used to detect splices was the rain. The rain is supposed to change every 5 frames, but here it changes in a single frame because there was a splice. The wind can also be used in the same way. The wind produces specific patterns in the background which can be predicted, and if these patterns do something unexpected, you can confirm the footage in the video has been edited. The player hybrid detected even more splices using this method. And things like the shaking and the rain and wind patterns got me to look around for other things that might be affected because of a splice. And then I realized that during this same splice where the rain is messed up, the area name is displayed on screen. Whenever you enter a new area, the name fades in, stays up for a few seconds, and then fades out. It also produces a sound effect like this. So I realized that if there was a splice, the length of time the name remains on screen should be shortened. But when I went and timed how long they were on screen, it was perfect. And I timed all of them. They were all exactly the same length, which just can't be possible if there was a splice. Then I remembered how the timer is supposed to shake with the screen during shaking sections, and when I checked other runs, the area name also shook as well. But when I checked Epic Seastar's run, it was dead still, which can mean only one thing. This area name was added in post-production. Now this is much more sophisticated than just adding a timer, because the backgrounds aren't a solid color, so you can't just chroma key them out easily. And they also fade in and out too, which would have to be done manually. Truth be told, I don't even know how to do this easily. I think this kind of thing can only be done with a fair amount of work. Aside from not shaking, you can also tell the fade in and fade out have been manually recreated because the opacity of the text is much different than it should be. So what he must have done is wait at the start of each new area for the title to come and go, and then remove that footage. Then in post-production, added the title back in along with the sound effect that comes with it. There are a couple of things that make this pretty insane. First, it means that he couldn't even go the several seconds this title remains on screen without splicing. Otherwise, he would just play through it and not go to all of this effort to recreate them. So we are definitely dealing with a terrible player. And secondly, and this one is hilarious, in the version of the game he was playing, he could have just turned the area names off. In fact, there are other speedruns on the ranks where players have done this. So he did all of this work for nothing. In any case, he put in a lot of effort, and the effort doesn't stop here. Because given the fact that we know he isn't really playing, what about all of his keyboard sounds? Is he just hitting keys pretending to play? Well, the clue lies in several oddities at the end of his runs. During his Babe of the Realms run, there is a loud buzzing that's coming from his audio track, but about 5 seconds before the video ends, this buzzing completely stops, even though his microphone is clearly still working and is just as loud.
7 minutes and 35 seconds, almost 36. Not even that many attempts. I didn't even play that map for too long. That might have been world record. Damn, dude.
This means there was definitely a second audio track playing throughout the video. On his Babe of Ascension run, after he stopped playing, he put his hands on his face, but you can clearly hear distinct clicks from his mouse.
Oh my god.
And then when he leans back, you can hear the mouse again. And there is also a huge discrepancy in the volume of his keyboard, because when he is playing, his keyboard is quite soft. But after his run, when he types, it's really loud.
Check this idiot out, man. Fuck, I gotta search that out. Speedrun.com, Speedrun.com. Jump King Custom Maps.
So he definitely has a separate audio track just for the keyboard noises, which means that in his webcam video audio, he isn't pressing anything the entire time. Again, it would have been easier just to do a single audio track and to just physically hit keys when pretending to play, but he went above and beyond and used multiple audio tracks. I'm guessing this is because he wanted to make sure his keyboard presses lined up properly with his in-game actions, which would have been much harder to do all in one take. This shows that he really did care about making these runs as believable as possible. Speaking of keyboard, he types after his Babe of Ascension run, but what's funny about this is that the input display doesn't register any spacebar hits.
Second city out, man. Fuck, I gotta switch that up. Speedrun, let's go. Speedrun, Jump King, custom maps.
So this is just another silly little mistake he didn't consider. Now let's get to the best part, his fake reactions. Whenever you have a fake speedrun with a live reaction, you know you're in for a treat. And I have to be honest, I'm impressed. This is, dare I say it, an Oscar-worthy performance.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god. Let's go, dude. Let's fucking go, dude. Oh my god. Oh, call it luck, I call it skill. I'm just kidding.
I love that last quote. Personally, I would never be able to think of something that cool to say after a world record. His second reaction was even better, but I must warn you, if you're in public, do not play this out loud.
Oh. Oh my fucking god. Oh, I'm fucking shaking right now. Oh. Baby. Yes! 354 milliseconds. Oh, I beat him. I fucking beat him. Wait. I gotta pull up something. I gotta pull up something real quick. Here it is. There it is. Let's go!
If everybody had an ocean across the USA.
What the hell am I watching? I wish I could play the whole dance with the music, but I will probably get copyright claimed if I do. Either way, this is truly a work of art. So let's be clear about this. Epic Seastar edited together dozens and dozens of splices into a single run, making sure the in-game audio and the keyboard presses all sounded correct. He perfectly added in a fake timer. He meticulously recreated all of the area names, including the fade in and fade out. He added an input display, and even webcammed himself pretending to play with a fake reaction and even a dance number at the end. And after all of that effort, he uploads his run and forgets to put a 0 in front of his time. And he doesn't even bother counting the jumps or making sure the end time is even possible, which is how this was discovered in the first place. This is dumb. This is really, really dumb. But at the same time, Epic Seastar might be a genius. Is this just high IQ performance art? I have no idea what this is supposed to be, but either way, it's amazing. This is simultaneously the best and worst fake speedrun I've ever seen. This may even top Butterbun, and if Epic Seastar took a single bite or sip of anything, it wouldn't even be close. But I will let you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Shout out to War Thunder again for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to check out War Thunder now for free on PC, PlayStation or Xbox, and use my link in the pinned comment or video description to register. Those of you who are new or haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms, including multiple premium vehicles, in-game currency, and more.